During her time as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton never once used a government-issued email address. Every single email she sent during that time was done through a private email account. It's kind of strange to that point, even where former White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs, he told Matt Lauer that cabinet members are usually told they must preserve all correspondence.
There are lots of briefings that you have when you go into the White House about preserving any email that you have, making sure that it's part of your official account. I think it's something that they're going to have to explain in good measure today, and probably figure out how to get a lot of those emails, or as many as they can, back into the archive. It
provides a layup, doesn't it, Robert, for her critics who say this is all about a lack of transparency as she prepares for a run in 2016, that you can't go back and look at those emails?
I think there's no doubt. I think this is another one of those things that the Clinton campaign, such as it is going to have to explain. And I think it's much easier for critics to explain why they don't exist than it might be for her to explain why she used a private email.
So I'm kind of tempted to follow up on that basketball analogy and that layup and say there's some kind of a slam dunk that something here doesn't feel right, to me at least. This is pretty concerning.
And I have to say, I wish we could step back just a moment and not cast this as a typical, the right says this, the left says that. There are a lot of people who are interested in openness and transparency and freedom of information who are also worried about what Hillary Clinton
Well, from where
did.
I'm sitting, that is the bigger issue than the political part of this.
Absolutely. And whether
this is our chief diplomat who's not keeping records.
Right. I don't know if she violated the law or not.
We're not
but
lawyers.
She certainly could be argued she violated the spirit of the law. And when you look at it, the New York Times, which broke this story in the first place, had a really interesting piece today following on to that, which basically said that she was able to thwart NFOIC requests, Freedom of Information requests, because the government agencies responding to those requests saying we don't have that information because it was stored on a private server and not backed up by the government.
Well, and of course, that's why everything is supposed to be on a government
server.
But for archival purposes and not. So I think that the one of the big issues here, and this does play into that opposition narrative of look how arrogant the Clintons are, for people who have had as many perception management issues as the Clintons, how could this one be another? Did you not think that you were going to get caught?
Yeah, and I have to say, I think that it's obvious to me that it seems obvious to anyone who looks at it that the purpose of doing this, there's only one logical purpose for doing all of your emails from a private account, so that you can control the release of that information if someone ever asks for it. Now, it's true the government backed up any emails she might have sent to her colleagues who were using federal government email accounts. But if she was sending emails to private persons or other, foreign leaders or diplomats, it wouldn't have been backed up, and we have to take her word and her staff's word when they're asked to turn over these records that they've turned it all over.
Well, and that becomes sort of the crux of this debate is how do we know who to trust? How can we trust you if we don't have full access?